Chicago. This is Fox News in the Morning.
About history, well, Sir David Ross is perhaps the best known and most accomplished television interviewer in the world, and this man knows about history. In addition to having interviewed the last 6 presidents of the United States, he has chatted with everyone from the Beatles to Bill Gates.
We're honored to have Sir David join us this morning to discuss his latest venture. It's an interactive website featuring actual footage of virtually every important event of the 20th century. And good morning. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Great to see you both. Great to be here.
How does it feel to be called the best interviewer of the world?
It's it's really nice and really generous, and of course I'm fascinated, as you were saying, in history and in the history of our times, like with all the reports of what's going on here at Chicago today, and so this was natural, this thing, because NewsPlayer, which was an idea two guys had, Paul Duffin and Barry Llewellyn, they signed up the best news clip libraries in the business, starting with ITN and Reuters and all of those, so that you could call up, stream to your home any news clip out of 40,000 they've got that you want to see. If you're keen on Marilyn Monroe or whatever, you can see that instant, call up, stream it down instantly.
We're showing pictures right now of the website in action, and an example here is an actual video demonstration, and here's one of the many presidents that you have interviewed in your time, and your thoughts?
That's right, and Reagan, who said that marvelous line about, "There you go again," didn't he? and that, so the new guys have got this thing which is $37 a year, and you can call up as many of the 14,000 clips as you want throughout. Going back to, you think it's odd to think of the 20th century as the last century, isn't it? But you've got the whole of the last century and a bit of the one before that, and then they wanted to do something different, and so they approached me, and we set up a joint venture called the First Collection. Sounds like Suits, but it's not or fashion, but whereby my material over the years would be available in the same fashion to people, a separate joint venture, so that whether it's, we're starting with interviews from the 90s and so on.
This is fantastic for all fans.
I never interviewed her.
Unfortunately.
And that wasn't me either.
Younger day, possibly?
Yes.
Now, with NewsPlayer, you just put in the topic that you're interested in. For example, we have Kennedy put together. You put a name in the search engine, and it brings up everything related to Kennedy over the 20th century. That's
right. Absolutely. You can, I suppose there's Rob Kennedy, Jack Kennedy, and more Kennedys, Jane Kennedy too, I suppose. But whichever one you call out, it's there, and it's because they stream it down from, I always think, from outer space. I don't know where these things come from. I know they just land on your set, thank God. You know? I
love the fact that we're having an opportunity to see your interviews, because you have been cataloging history firsthand for many years and giving us a show that we watch and through you experience history. Tell me a little bit about the president's example. We've got the candidates coming into Chicago today,
that's
so
right,
we're ground zero for presidential conversation.
One of those two, I hope, will be my 7th president. But the first 6 we did, obviously the Nixon interviews was very memorable.
Yes, of course.
An interview in the Oval Office there. That was the Nixon interview. That was done in a house up the coast from San Clemente, because we had to get away from the Coast Guard station, and so we had to do it up there. And that Jimmy Carter, that was done in his library, and different hairstyle I had then. I don't think there are. That's a better hairstyle there. That was that was the first interview with George Bush Senior up at Kenny Bunkport, and then that was just before he was running as vice president of the president. And I'd read about his son, George W. Bush Jr., 42, I think he was then. And this 20-year-old guy came into the room, and I thought, oh, this must be his grandson. You know, of course, it was George W. Bush Jr. who looked, 42. He looked, 22, you know, incredibly youthful. But it's a great place to do an interview up there, out on the sort of patio.
David mentioned that the presidential candidates are in town or coming to Chicago here shortly. What's your take on both men? And what would you ask them if you interviewed one of them?
Well, one of the areas, actually, one of the interesting questions to ask candidates, of course, is what was the first thing you'll do, you know, when you get into the Oval Office. But in fact, George Bush had got a good routine on that when he did David Letterman, about 6 things he'd do, putting books with pictures of large print in the library, you know, and all that self-mocking stuff. I think the interesting thing is we all tend to think people are more life-size rather than giants when they are suddenly younger than you, the same age as you, compared to when you look up people 30, you know, so that inevitably people tend to say, oh, this man isn't Ronald Reagan or something. But at that time, when Ronald Reagan was the same age as people, if he was the same age as people, that you know, people would have more respect because you're looking up to someone older, so they seem more life-size, more vulnerable. I've been surprised by two of the most fascinating things is that the economy has not bitten for more. And
you would have thought that he would have had possibly a better
I mean,
lead.
George Bush has done very well to neutralise it. And the other thing that fascinates me, what's going to be the effect of Clinton, you know, because in the debates, not only did Al Gore not mention Clinton once in the 3 debates, but nor did George Bush pull his leg about it.
Right.
Because he didn't link him with Clinton in case it was a bluff. So nobody knows.
History constantly being made right before our eyes.
Our very eyes in this new century.
Before you leave us, you have to tell us your most cherished moment of the 20th century. If you had to put in something immediately and pull it up, what would it be? Or what was the first thing pulled up on the newspaper?
Oh, well, you mean not the things you
Not what you've done yourself, outside of you.
Well, a really obscure thing.
What?
Which was when the team I supported got, as it were, into the major leagues at soccer in England. I was 10 years old. It was the happiest day of my life. Not much had happened by that stage. Actually, when I was 12, I nearly drowned. And just like they say, my whole past life flashed before me, but I was only 12, so it wasn't very interesting. Today, it would be good. Today, it would be good fun.
Fantastic.
It's great to be here. Great to be in Chicago. And,
it's such an inspiration to all of us.
Greetings to Dear Cup, if you're watching at the moment, too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you very much.
The page is www.newsplayer.com. And, of course, you continue to your weekly TV show on BBC.
Absolutely. I've got a schedule this week like a candidate.
You're all over the place.
Well, thank you for making
time.
time
I don't have to eat all the ethnic foods.
That's the beauty.
Thank you. Well,